Emotional care should find a central place in this pandemic response. Without clear policy directions and investments, the emotional fallout of this pandemic can linger long. It can even eclipse relief, recovery, and other efforts to rebuild societies. The human mind has to deal with a lot more while living through a pandemic or a disaster or a conflict or a war. Crisis settings implant bitter memories. Everyone gets affected, but different people are affected in different ways. On my recent trip to Sendai in Japan, where I had worked following the 2011 tsunami, which left thousands of people dead, I heard that some children there refused to flush the toilets even today, years later, because the movement of the water and the sound of the water reminded them of tsunami. Disasters leave lasting footprints on young minds. This pandemic is an unprecedented crisis with health, economic, and humanitarian dimensions. Several factors are amplifying anxieties, such as physical distancing, reduced interactions, uncertainty over medicines, vaccines, lockdowns, and lost jobs. Currently, for the right reasons, the priority is to save lives and strengthen public health, hygiene, and sanitation measures. However, people's minds also require attention, or else this can result in a silent epidemic causing serious damages to individuals and the economy. Unfortunately, the policymakers and donors do not consider addressing the mental health and psychosocial needs in disasters and conflicts and disease outbreaks as a priority. I hope this crisis helps to change this story. I have often found that the disaster itself can act as a catalyst in communities. It can sometimes bring people together and draw the best out of people. For example, during the 2018 worst floods, when it hit Kerala in nearly 100 years, the Kerala, the South Indian state, I saw fishermen on the front lines doing heroic yet risky activities to rescue people who are marooned in floodwaters. When asked, they told me that helping people is a natural reaction and that doesn't need much thinking or even a university degree. It is important to remember that disasters can trigger solidarity and compassion and remind everyone that we are all in this together. It's important to galvanize such social capital. The Ebola outbreak in West Africa showed us how the minds of several children who lost their family and friends were impacted just as severely as it threatened their physical needs. So, what needs to be done? We need to act early, we need to act fast, and we need to act long term. Early action is absolutely critical to stop simple symptoms from becoming serious and complex mental health problems at a later stage. So it is necessary for the policymakers and others to recognize that taking care of the mind and psychosocial support is equally life-saving and life-sustaining. There are various UN and interagency guidelines that recommend psychological first aid as a top life-saving intervention in a crisis. Basic psychosocial services in the early stages of a crisis can go a long way to reduce the number of people who will need specialized, therapeutic, and expensive care at a later stage. In the long run, early action is cost effective. Several mental illness is projected to cost the global economy $16 trillion by 2030. By contrast, the most low income and lower middle income countries today spend less than $2 on mental health per person annually. That is less than what a coffee costs. So investing in emotional care helps healing broken minds. It also aids recovery and possibly bolsters economy. The overall objective of psychosocial work should be to bolster dignity, hope, and confidence, to protect rights as well as to provide basic services. Healthcare and psychosocial services can play an important role. However, they should not be replacements for clean water, hygiene, education, jobs, and food. Psychiatric counseling sessions may not make much difference if children are hungry, sick, dehydrated, or forced into child labor. You can't stop trauma only with psychiatrists. The point is to make mental health and psychosocial support as a complementary ingredient, not as a substitute. Aid agencies also need to adapt and reboot to address the new context created by this pandemic. Creativity and collaboration are key. We need to work with artists, musicians, influencers, entertainers, and communities. This pandemic is actually a wake up call to invest in public health and to build robust mental health and psychosocial services.